What if, and this is me playing conspiracy theorist here a little bit, but what if the powerful religious oligarchs of the world have been grooming us to scapegoat others all this time for the crimes that the religious people have been committing themselves? In other words, what if we've been trained all this time to be looking at the neighbors around us, the people around us? What if we've been trained to look at the people that we've been calling the enemy and blame them for the oppressions that the clergy have been causing all this time? Like, think of the Mormons. They're the fourth largest Christian denomination in the world. They're more than everybody except the Southern Baptists and the Catholics. I mean, they're not just sitting around with money. They own a university, a TV station. They got media outlets all over the place. If the congregation of the Mormon Church, Church of Latter-day Saints, wants to complain about the endless missionary work and the stress of trying to stay pious, why wouldn't the top brass use gay marriage as an excuse to deflect all that anger? Why wouldn't gay people be the scapegoats that are, quote, ruining families or wrecking their faith or oppressing them? Why wouldn't they do that? I'm thinking maybe that's why this sudden burst of right-wing nationalistic nonsense on one end and the left-wing victimhood on the other has been gaining so much traction over the last 12, 14 years or so. I think maybe it's because the internet has been too good at its job. Maybe people just weren't as evil and gullible as the clergy figured they would be. They saw that when you do give knowledge, when you do give a means to gain more intellect, people by and large do search for it. They will try to find their own ways to have their own businesses, and they won't depend so much on the congregation to give them that extra little bump, that heads up, that connection. Maybe they will leave in droves, and maybe that's what happens when the clergy says, hey, look over there. That guy over there, he's making your life difficult. Not us. No. It's not us. It's them. Those are the people over there that make you feel oppressed and persecuted and weighed down in your life in exactly the way that the internet seems to be blaming us for doing. It's not us, though. The internet's wrong. See, the internet's wrong. By the way, the world's flat, too. And, evolution, anything that you see online that's got some science in there, don't listen to that. That's wrong. Maybe that's what's been going on all this time, and it's just had to hit a fever pitch because the internet was just making it hard for the clergy to do what it has been doing for so many centuries. The wars, the political movements, the grassroots efforts. So many of these things that make our lives difficult could just be the product of some organizations that are supported by a band of religious people. They just want folks running around fighting some convenient target instead of the real problem, the real people. Maybe that's what's going on here. I don't know. In my opinion, and this is a really controversial thing for me to say, but I think mental abuse is the worst form of abuse. See, physical and sexual abuse, domestic violence, child abuse from a teacher or some priest or something, that takes a lifetime to heal. I understand that. But mental abuse is special. The gaslighting, the oppression that a parent might give when he or she doesn't want the kid to know the truth about something. Mental abuse is special because it makes a victim not realize that they should even find that lifelong healing. It makes a child go through his or her or their own resources, go through their whole lives, never really knowing who's even wounding them. And it's not just the worst, I think, because of the damage that it causes the victim. I think it's more dangerous to the bystander as well. I mean, it causes more collateral damage. Mental abuse takes away a person's agency. That's a person's understanding of what's real, what to do. I mean, they won't even realize that they need the help. At least a slave knows that he's in chains. I have a little bit of evidence to bolster this idea. Consider the language that many of these people use when they start the scapegoating kind of thing nowadays. It's not just "I'm offended." They go way above and beyond that. They say, "Oh, I feel violated. I'm being silenced. I'm being oppressed. My family is being victimized." Maybe a lot of them were abused by the powerful people who just get away with everything. These religious folks. Maybe a lot of these people who say that kind of thing on the left and the right, the white, black, male, female, whatever it is, doesn't matter what you got between your legs or what animal you got on your little lapel. I'm just talking about people who scapegoat others in a big way, online, social media and all that. Maybe a lot of them were just abused, violated, oppressed, silenced, and all that by the very people that they never seem to target nearly as much as they ought to. In fact, the Catholic Church has gotten away literally with murder in a legendary fashion. What makes us think that the abuse of young children after the Inquisition, the Crusades, the persecution of people of other denominations, what makes us think that a couple of kids who complain about the abuse that they get from priests would just suddenly make them atone? I mean, if anything, the more that they get away with the abuse of the children, the Catholic Church probably would gain more clout in the eyes of their competition. I mean, this is kind of a messed up thought, but there's some points when I would see the movie Spotlight, or when I would read about the Catholic Church and the issues in Boston and the East Coast. In a strange way, and I don't know if you felt this way too, but I almost felt as though they wanted the abuse to keep happening. That it wasn't just a bunch of isolated people, that they were glad that the abuse was going on. Because, see, if that happens, then people will be afraid to say anything, or they feel hopeless about saying anything disparaging against the Catholic Church. So they'll keep it all inside. And yeah, the individuals can get in trouble, or the individuals can get thrown around from one church to the other and get caught later on. But if they still stay standing, if the Catholic Church sticks around, which is odd if you think about it, then all those people will say, well, no matter how true it is, no matter how many people admit it, no matter how many people get in trouble for it and go to jail or have their entire reputations tarnished, that church will still stay standing. It'll still happen. So, what if all of these criticisms about the patriarchy, the structures of our society, the abuse of young women, the boys' club of the elite, the toxic oppression of masculinity, what if all of those accusations were just being dumped on some convenient group because the church, who openly does all those things, just feels too powerful to condemn, too untouchable to reproach, too big to fail, perhaps? I don't know if any of the stuff I just said is true. And maybe I'm trying too fervently to diagnose all the people that I'm seeing around me. I don't know. I just find it interesting that it's usually the heavily Christian populations, America, cultures in the Western world, it's It's us who seem to have these really divisive left and right groups fighting each other lately. Maybe religions just realized that there were a couple too many Hitchens, too many Dawkins, too many Sam Harrises, too many Dennetts, too many Neil deGrasse Tysons, too many people running around saying, hey, listen, we need to make a change in how we think about things. Maybe there were just too many of them. And religious people just felt the need to double down on it. I mean, the evangelicals spent so much time making sure that people on the right felt that there was this one woman who was going to cause all the problems, or this one dark-skinned president that was going to make everything bad. And what did they put in front of them? They put this jackanape named Trump in their face all the time. You need to vote for this guy. You need to be in lockstep with Donald Trump. Why? For what? Why him? Doesn't it seem kind of odd that these religiously minded people seem so powerful, so connected, that they could champion somebody who barely knows anything about Christianity to be the president in the Republican Party, and people will still go for it? If they can be that powerful to get them to support somebody, don't you think maybe they'd be powerful enough to get them to scapegoat someone?